Good morning, fifth grade students. Mr. Godnick here again, and we're going to be working on 11.7 together today, which is all about solving real world problems with all these measurement conversions you've been learning for the last 6 lessons. Your measurement conversions were in 2 different systems, the customary units and the metric system. Today I've chosen a few problems from your independent pages that all have to do with the customary units, because as we've learned over the last few days, it's a lot easier to use the metric system. There's not as many numbers you need to remember. It's really all about place value and moving the decimal point back and forth. With the customary units, it becomes a little more complicated because you're choosing from a lot of different numbers in order to convert from one unit to another. So we're really going to focus on that today and see if we can use all those different kinds of conversions to solve some real world problems. So on page 677, we're going to start off with a problem that has to do with length in the customary system. So we're talking about inches, feet, yards, and miles. If I look at problem number 3 on page 677, which you should have tried already, we're talking about somebody who wants to put a ribbon around the outside of a box. So I think that is steering us towards perimeter, because I know perimeter is when we talk about the distance around something. So we're putting the ribbon around it. And the problem specifically says she's putting it around the length and the height. So I know that the length is 2 feet and the height is 4 inches. I also know when we're talking about perimeter of a rectangle, I need to go around 4 sides. So I'm just going to recopy those numbers again. This length must also be 2 feet, and this height must also be 4 inches. So now I know my perimeter is length plus width plus width. In this case, we're talking about height instead of width. So if I add those 4 numbers together, I'll get perimeter. But the added twist here is that they're not all in the same unit. So before I can add them together to get perimeter, I need to change one of them to make everything the same unit. So when I look at either changing feet or changing inches, it seems like it would be a lot easier to change feet, because then I'm just multiplying. So what I really need to know here is that 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. So every 1 foot is 12 inches. The length of this box is 2 feet. So 2 feet would be the same as 2 times 12, or 24. So my 2 feet I can change into 24 inches. So now I know my perimeter is 24 plus 24 plus 4 plus 4. So altogether, 4 4s is 16. Oh, that's a perimeter of 56 inches. My question says, how much ribbon does she need to wrap around the length and height of the box? Well, there's my answer. She needs 56 inches of ribbon. Okay, well, that worked out easily enough. Check your answer. Number 4 is related. Now we're talking about money, how much she needs to spend in order to buy that ribbon. So now that I know she needs 56 inches, I'm going to have to figure out how much it's going to cost her to get that 56 inches of ribbon. So if I look at number 4, here's the twist. They don't sell ribbon in inches. They only sell it in yards. And you can't even buy a part of a yard. It says whole number yards. So I need to figure out how many yards of ribbon she needs to buy. I have 56 inches. I'm going to need to use that information still, but now I'm going to have to convert that into yards. Well, I know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Let me write that down. And I know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So if I can put those two pieces of information together, I should be able to figure out how many inches are in a yard. So if I just draw a quick little double number line here, this is 1 yard. That's the same as being 1, 2, 3 feet. So if I look at the bottom, that would be 12 inches, another 12 inches, and then another 12 inches. That means that 1 yard equals 12 plus 12 plus 12, or 3 times 12, is 36 inches. Let's see if that helps me. I need 56 inches. 1 yard is 36 inches. Is that going to be enough? No, it's not, because I'm not up to 56 yet. So what would 2 yards be? 2 yards would be 36 plus 36, 72 inches. Well, that's more than I need. So let's go back to our I can statement. They warned us that these were real world problems. And this is something that happens quite frequently in the real world. I can't buy exactly the amount I need. I can't just buy 1 yard because it won't be enough. I'm going to have to buy 2 yards, even though I don't need all 72 inches. That's what I'm going to have to buy, and I'll just have a little extra, not a big deal. So I'm going to have to buy 2 yards of ribbon in order to get enough ribbon to go all the way around the box. But now the question is, how much will it cost? Now that I know I need to buy 2 yards, let me find the price. Oh, it's $1.50 for every yard. I need 2. So $1.50 plus another $1.50, that's $2, and then the 2.50 cents make 3. So altogether, it's going to cost her $3 for 2 yards of ribbon. That's going to be my final answer. Okay. All right, now we're going to change into another kind of problem. Instead of working with length, problem number 6 works with capacity. So I see a whole bunch of different units in this one problem. Isaac buys 1 quart of milk and half a gallon of milk. The problem wants to know how many cups he bought. So first thing I have to do is think about my units. I have a quart and I have a half a gallon. So I want those in the same unit. And then in order to answer it the way they want me to, I'm going to have to turn that into cups. I'm going to pull out Mr. Gallon. My kids have seen him already. Maybe some of the rest of you haven't. Here's my nice little aid that I use when I'm working with the customary units capacity. This is Mr. Gallon. Let me take a minute to introduce you. The big G around the outside is a gallon. Inside the gallon, you can see 4 blue Q's. Those stand for quarts because 4 quarts make a gallon. Inside each quart are 2 green P's for pints because there are 2 pints in a quart. And if you zoom in, each P has 2 little C's in it for 2 cups in every pint. So instead of trying to remember all those numbers and do several steps of multiplication, sometimes I like to quickly sketch Mr. Gallon. And that way I can just look at what I'm seeing all together and count up the number of cups or pints or smaller units in it. So I'm going to put Mr. Gallon up here to help us. And hopefully let's put him somewhere you can see him. There's Mr. Gallon. Okay. Isaac is buying 1 quart and half a gallon. So sorry about this, Mr. Gallon. Let's cut him in half. Okay. Ooh, I can see easily how many quarts now are in half a gallon. I see that the whole gallon has 4 quarts, half the gallon has 2 quarts. So I can actually change that half a gallon to be 1 quart plus, instead of half a gallon, 2 more quarts. So now I know that what he bought all together is 3 quarts of milk. The question asked me how many cups is that. Now I could think to myself, every quart is 2 pints and then every pint is 2 cups. Or I could just use Mr. Gallon and count this up. I know I have 3 quarts all together here, and I want to know how many cups that is. So there's my little orange cups. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There are 12 cups and 3 quarts. So now I can answer my question. He bought 12 cups. Thanks, Mr. Gallon. Okay, last question we're going to go over together is the third kind of measurement we've talked about, which is weight. Weight in customary units is our ounces and our pounds and our tons. So if we look at problem number 7, here's my different units again. 3 different kinds of nuts this person is buying. 1.5 pounds of walnuts, 8 ounces of pecans, and 3/4 pounds of almonds. They want to know how much they weigh in all. They don't ask me for a specific unit in the question, so I can make it any unit I want to. But again, just like that first one, I'd rather change everything into ounces because then I know I just have to multiply, which I find easier. So let me take a look at, I already have 8 ounces, but I need to change the 1.5 pounds, and I need to change the 3/4 pounds into ounces as well, because I already have 8 ounces. I've got to change these 2 over. So I know that 16 ounces are in a pound. So if I have 1.5 pounds, that 1 pound is going to be 16 ounces. Well, if a whole pound is 16 ounces, half of a pound would be 8 ounces because 8 is half of 16. So altogether, my 1.5 pounds would be 16 plus 8 more, which would be 24 ounces. Now over here, I have 3/4 of a pound. Oh, I said that fancy word of. 3/4 of a pound. 3/4 of 16 ounces. We know with fractions, of means multiply. So I can do 3/4 times 16. That's 16 times 3, which is 48, divided by 4, which is 12. Okay? So now I know the 3/4 of a pound is equivalent to 12 ounces. So my 1.5 pounds is 24 ounces, plus I had 8 ounces, that was already in the unit I wanted, plus I have 12 ounces, which is the same as my 3/4 of a pound. Oh, 12 plus 8, that's easy addition, 20. 20 plus 24, okay, 44 ounces. So that's one way I could answer this question. How much do they weigh in all? In all, they weigh 44 ounces. Okay. Well, I hope those examples help. You should have tried those 2 independent pages on your own, and after this, you should go on and try your homework practice buddy. And I will see you again in a couple of days.